Well, the next section of the lesson is built-in functions. So a built-in function, as the name suggests, is a function that's already been built into the programming language for you. So that means that some programmer that is a specialist within that language has pre-written a function which can be called up by any user, and of course, that built-in function helps you in terms of programming because you don't have to rewrite that function for yourself. And it's been tested. There is no errors with it, so that's why it's been pre-packaged with that programming language. For example, with Python, there are a number of built-in functions, one of which is the print function. For example, you would have used the print function just to be able to display something to the screen. So otherwise, you would have had to figure out how to get something to the screen. You don't have to worry about that. All you need to do is just call up the print function, put what you want to put into it, and it prints it to the screen. Other functions like the input function, again, you probably would have used that to take an input from a user, and then of course you would have assigned that to a variable. So there are print functions, there are lots of different types of functions. Right, so one of the things we're going to focus on in this section is the arithmetic functions. So we've got the range function, which refers to possible variable values or the intervals that include the upper and the lower bound of an array. So what effectively that means is that if we got the range function 4 here, that suggests that we are saying, as this list here shows us in Python, we're saying start from the lower bound, and in programming everything will start from 0, and then we go into that number minus 1. Okay, so the reason why we say that number minus 1 is because what's happening is because 0 is included, then if we think about it, it's giving us 4 elements, so 1, 2, 3, 4, which is correct with the range, except the 4 itself terminates it. So 4, it says, as soon as you get up to 4, then you don't need to give me any more. Okay, so it's only gonna, if we do range 4, it gives us the range of numbers between a particular point, a lower bound and an upper bound. This could also be written in another way. So we can say start from a particular number and finish again with another number, which will be our delimiter. So in this case, we're saying to ourselves, we're starting from the lower bound of 1, so it would include 1, and then we're going up to 5, and 5 will be our terminating value, so it would not print 5. Okay, so a range function literally gives us a number or a set of numbers between what we've either supplied it. If we've really supplied it with a single value, it will give us those numbers up to that. If we supplied it with 2 parameters, it will give us the starting point and the ending point. So for example, if this said 0 here, it would have included 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so that is how that works. Okay, so hopefully you got the range function clear. If you're not, you would have used this perhaps in a loop as well, but if not, just try it out in Python. Well, the next the next function we're going to look at, another arithmetic function, is the round function. Again, as the name suggests, it would normally take as a parameter a floating point, as in a decimal point, or a real number, and it would round that accordingly. Now we would supply with 2 parameters. One is the decimal point that we're trying to, so is the decimal number rather that we're trying to round, and then the second parameter is how many decimal places we would like to round it to. So in the first example here, we've got 3.144. We want to round it to 2 decimal places, and of course it returns for us 3.14. In the second example here, we've got these numbers, again 3.144, we want to round it to 1 decimal place, it returns just 1 value. And at the same time when it's rounding, the round function rounds up or down for us to the nearest whole number, to the nearest number that there is. So in the example of 3.144, when we're rounding it to 1 decimal place, because we've gone to here, we've looked at the number 4 is less than, well, it's less than 5, and so it would reckon, actually, well, I don't need to go up to 3.2, so I've just given you as 3.1. Okay, so hopefully that makes sense. When we look at rounding to 0 decimal place, it would still give us the decimal place, except it realizes that it's 3, so it's giving us that as 3.0 because 1 is insignificant in terms of rounding upwards. All right, so hopefully again that's fairly clear. If not, please just pause this and go back to it. The next arithmetic function is truncation. Now, truncation is a way of being able to remove numbers or characters after a specified number that we want. Okay, so what that means is if we have, say we want to just return a bit like the round function, except this time round we're getting rid of, we're not rounding up or down, we're getting rid of characters after a specific point. So imagine here, I want to just get rid of all of the characters after the number 3. I can specify that I want to get rid of all of the characters after that. Now this is using the math truncate. That works for numbers. However, we can also truncate characters. Okay, so if you think about, if you said to someone, can you put your password in, as in you're asking them to create a new password, and you want the password to be no more than 12 characters. And after they've typed in 12 characters, you're not accepting any more. That means anything else that they type in after that gets truncated. You're getting rid of anything from the left. No, that would be, from the left-hand side, but from the user's view, it'll be from the right-hand side. You're getting rid of everything from the right-hand side coming in. Right, I'll show you an example of that. That would make it a little bit clearer, hopefully. So in Python, we can use the slice function to do truncation. Okay, so here we've got a list of numbers, which is equated to this variable a. And if we look at this, then what we're saying is x is another variable, and we're using the slice function to say slice everything after the second character away and just return to me from the left hand side anything that there is there. Okay, so in this case, what we're saying here is print. Notice the use of the square bracket. So we're making this into a list, and we're saying to ourselves, print for me values from in here. Yeah, so slice away after the second character everything else, and then that's why it's returning to us A and B. So you can imagine if I've put here the number 3 instead, then that would mean that it should, well, let's see what it would do. Okay, you notice now it's giving us the first 3 characters, so that it's ignoring everything else after that. Yeah, so truncation is effectively slicing away after a specific number of characters that we want. Yeah, or in this case also we can use it for numbers. Yeah, so we're getting rid of anything beyond what the numbers that we need. All right. Then the next thing is concatenation. I would have mentioned this a number of times before now. Concatenation is literally just joining strings. We can join strings by using the ampersand sign, or we can use the plus sign. Now in this example, we have 2 variables of string data types. We've got Bill and we've got Gates, and we've got this variable called full name, which then concatenates by joining or plussing these 2 strings together. And of course, when we then print out full name comes out as Bill Gates, like so. That is the joining of Bill and Gates together with the plus sign. Notice also we can join a space. Yeah, so in this case, I would join full name, first name, which is Bill, plus a space, and then plus the surname, which gave us, again, when we printed the full name with the space like so. All right, so I think that is what we'll cover for this point. I will stop here. We'll go through the next lesson after.